the great Lloyd Kaufman. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Lloyd Kaufman.
Hello, thank you. And a chair.
And Pat Kaufman.
And the commissioner.
And the commissioner. Jeez. See, this is a guy who writes, produces, directs, acts in his own movie, and carries props.
For sure. Thank you so much for being part of this focus group. Please fill in these questionnaires. While you're taking a quick look, I would like to present this beautiful collectible cell from the original Toxic Crusaders cartoon show, this is an original cell from the 1990s to Mr. Frank Radice, ladies and gentlemen, who made this amazing event possible. Thank you, Frank.
Oh, that's so easy.
I will be dead soon, and this could be worth at least
This will be framed and
$72.
hanging in my bathroom tomorrow.
Wow, thank you so much.
No, I have a great bathroom.
Thanks for setting this up. And thank you for coming here at 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday. It's probably not the best way to look at this kind of a movie.
So let me ask you this question, Lloyd. You went to Yale.
Yes.
You studied Chinese. And now you're making movies like this. How did that happen?
I got groomed with a movie nut my freshman year. I was going to be a social worker or an educator and try to make the world a better place. It was the 60s. I was going to teach people with hooks for hands how to finger paint and stuff like that. But I got put in a little tiny room with a movie nut, and he ran the Yale Film Society. Our beds were head to toe, and at night I'd inhale his Godard stinking feet, and the aroma du Troma was born. And 40 years later, Troma's the oldest independent movie studio, out of whose loins have sprung some of our great filmmakers. James Gunn, who just directed and wrote Guardians of the Galaxy, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, don't know what happened to them, but I wish them luck. Vincent D'Onofrio, lots of, Samuel Jackson's first movie too. Samuel Jackson's first film, although I didn't direct that one. Death by Temptation, so it's a good one.
Commish, so let me ask you a question. You guys have been married as long as Troma has been around, How have you managed to survive this entire process?
Well, you know that farting machine? No. Because he's made me laugh for 42 years, so that's how. And I believe in what he does.
So, Lloyd,
and in spite of surf Nazis must die and infant barbarian blood-sucking freaks, my wife has had a political career as state film commissioner, New York State Film Commissioner for 20 years, appointed by both Republicans and Democrats.
And wrote the legislation, which is basically the basis of the Georgia legislation. And I think that...
I mean, I wrote the tax legislation in New York. I was involved in writing the tax.
They read it here and then apply it. So it's
a good program. You've got a great program here.
The incentives, if you make a movie in Georgia, you get a lot of tax from the state.
How did this movie come to be?
Actually, the idea of remaking the Class of Nukem High, which, by the way, you can see 250 free movies to thank our fans for 40 years of supporting us. We've put up about 250 free movies, plus many of my make-your-own-damn movie lessons on Troma's YouTube channel. It's all free, Troma Movies. So please subscribe, and every day we put up new content, either a lesson or some sort of short piece or new movie. Troma Movies on YouTube, and the original Class of Nukem High is free there. This came out of the brains of somebody who was a gatekeeper. He grew up with our movies, and he was a gatekeeper at one of the vassals of a devil-worshipping international media conglomerate. And it was his idea to remake it. And he said, if I
was that Disney?
It wasn't Disney, no. No, Disney was something else. No, this is Stars Media, which is part of Liberty, which is kind of like Comcast. And this guy, whoa, look who's here in the audience. It's Mr.
Toxic Avenger. Ladies and gentlemen, Toxic.
Come on up, Toxic.
Come on, man. We got a spot over here for you.
It's a Toxic Avenger, wow.
Unbelievable. There's a spot over here for him.
Unfortunately, it's on my lawn.
Yeah.
What's the wrong making?
So, I think there's one
Toxic,
question.
welcome, thank you.
One question I think everybody wants to know is, what's the green stuff made out of?
I've written 6 books, and there's great deconstruction of how we make blood and green stuff, and also how we raise money, all that stuff. And a lot of it is visually shown on the Troma movie channel. Lots of little lessons: how we raise money, how we crush a head, how we use a simple melon to crush a head. The green stuff is just simple. We save up our sinus congestion for 6 months, and we put a little tiny bit of green vegetable dye and some bromo seltzer, and presto. Lots of great stuff.
These are real hardcore Troma fans out here. So let's you guys have some questions, I'm sure, right? Who wants to go first? Is there any mics down there?
Just raise your hand and we'll come around to you with the microphone.
But maybe I'll keep filling out those forms.
Yeah, fill out the forms. Very important. You will have the opportunity to influence the final cut of this film. So fill out the forms. They're going to go directly to Lloyd. He'll read each one of them and then break them. Yes, sir.
Would you be kind enough to sign my copy of Toxic Avenger's 21st anniversary?
Yes, I've signed anything. Unlike the other people you've never heard of, when you go to conventions, I don't charge for my worthless signature. So anything you want, I'll sign anything. And if by chance you want to buy anything, of course I'll sign it.
He has
But I'll sign anything you got.
He signed
do it now.
Yeah. He signed some things that you don't want to know about.
That's exactly true.
Anybody else with a real question? Yes? Come on, Lloyd Kaufman, when do you get this chance? I could ask you questions all day.
I auditioned for a Troma film, and before I got in front of the camera, I had to
Oh, I remember. Poultry Guys, Night of the Chicken Den, right? Was that it?
They told you about me, didn't they? Yeah, yes, it was Poltergeist, and I had to sign a release before getting in front of the camera, and it was the worst audition ever, and I'm wondering what you do with all of that footage.
What we do with all the audition footage?
Yeah.
I take them home, and when my wife isn't there, I masturbate with them. Don't worry, we are so disorganized and so incompetent that footage is all, who knows where it is. I'm sure it's been...
But some audition footage does show.
Oh, yeah, you're right, that's
how-tos.
Yeah, actually, you're
behind
right.
the scenes and make your own movie lessons. So audition footage does show up.
If you go to the Troma Movies channel on YouTube, Troma Movies, we've got several full-length documentaries about how we make the movies. Poultry Guys, Night of the Chicken Den has one called Poultry in Motion, Truth is Stranger Than Chicken. And it's really, if you're film students or are interested in the cinema, you should look at these documentaries because they're all free. And you see how hard it is to make a Troma movie, how difficult. But you're right, we do have bits of the audition process for that. Terra Firma has a full-length documentary called Farts of Darkness, and there are other full-length documentaries. They're really good and can supplement the wonderful film school here.
How did Tromaville come to be?
Tromaville, a very good question. Our films take place in the little New Jersey town of Tromaville. We're big into the underdog. I mean, we're deep in the reeds of underground, but most of our movies concern some sort of underdog, and very often no underpants. So Tromaville came about very much influenced by the Marvel. When I was at Yale, I discovered Marvel comic books along with LSD and various other drugs, and it's about all I really got out of Yale. Stan Lee, I searched him out when I was a senior at college, and we've been buddies for almost 50 years. But his Marvel universe made a big impact on me, so we've created this little Tromaville universe where Toxie lives in the dump, and Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD is on the waterfront, and the basic...
Quite the complete opposite of the way that whole Marvel situation happened. It started out as graphic novels becoming movies, and your movies are basically graphic novels on film.
In fact, they've gone the other way. They've become books and comic books, and there's a musical. The Toxic Avenger musical is currently traveling around the country. It's now in Miami Beach.
Well, it was on Off-Broadway and won every possible award. Best musical, best performance, best leads, best supporting actors. I mean, the music's written by David Bryan, the keyboardist of Bon Jovi, and the book based on Toxic Avenger is written by Joe DiPietro, who's won multiple Tonys.
No, it's interesting though, you're right. We've gone the other way from film to
an interesting conversation yesterday. We were talking about yin and yang and how that affects the way that you think. Talk a little bit about it.
Well, the big takeaway for me regarding Chinese studies is my major at Yale was yin and yang. You've seen that symbol of yin and yang. It looks like two tadpoles kind of interconnected in a circle. And good and evil come together. Opposites are together. The oyster gets a piece of sand stuck in its butt, and it's very painful, and it creates this beautiful pearl. Pain and pleasure all together. So maybe the good news of the world now is anybody can make a movie. The making of cinema has been democratized, but the yang part of it is that the rules that used to prevent monopoly in this country have been done away with, so that only a small number of giant devil-worshipping international media conglomerates control the marketplace. So to make a living off your art, if it's a moving image, is very, very difficult. So it's yin and yang.
But that's also the basis of good storytelling.
Sure, and the way we make our movies is very much Taoist. We flow with it. We prepare for several months, but then we become very like we flow with the river. We don't fight the river. We're like the blade of grass that bends in the wind, not the big oak tree that falls over. We go with the Tao. The Tao leads the way.
Any questions out there? I see one over there. Yes?
Well, first of all, I want to say this is by far the most phenomenal film I've seen so far at the festival. And I've seen a bunch of films that a lot of critics are saying are phenomenal, and they were in fact very good, but this is fucking fantastic.
Well, thank you.
I also have to say, I humbly disagree. 10 a.m. on a Monday in a 1,200-seat balcony theater is the proper way to see it. So,
well, we make our movies for the theaters and for our fans, and our fans enjoy the communal experience. And we have lots of stuff going on in the background, and we have lots of many people on screen, many little details that you really can't see on the small screen. And so it was wonderful to see this work print, Rovka.
well, that's what I wanted to ask about is, over the past few years, and I know Troma has had ups and downs, as has the entire sort of exploitation film industry. When you're making a film like this, and like you say, you're making it for the big screen, how realistic is it that this film, when it comes out, is going to get anything? What sort of an indie theatrical run or an art house run do you foresee for this? And how long would the window be? How long does the window have to be now in your business before you go straight to VOD or DVD and whatnot?
Very good question. The image of the window is very good. If you read Norman Mailer's Naked and the Dead, he describes venereal disease as having your penis slammed in a window. And that's pretty much the way we have to operate, because we're a tiny little company. We have no money. If I direct a movie, we can get into about 300 theaters around the country, one by one by one by one, and they're usually calendar houses where the movie will run for a week maximum, and maybe in more cases, maybe just a weekend or a midnight. In New York and LA, we'll play a couple of weeks because we were able to take a few ads, and we get reviews in the New York Times that are good, and that helps us get more theaters. But we can't possibly compete with 2,000 theaters across the country, and the theaters are pretty much controlled by the big conglomerates. They're either owned or controlled, and we have no juice, so we can't get in.
And the cost of marketing to buy even a tiny ad is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
We just don't have the money to advertise. So our fans very much, in many cases, our fans go to the movie theater and demand that they play Troma, and very often I'll go to the theater and do what I'm doing right here.
You absolutely should follow Lloyd on Twitter, because he is a very active social media advocate.
I answer all my own Twitter.
So that would be at Lloyd Kaufman.
Yes, thank you.
So go ahead and do that, because Lloyd he's active on it, and he will talk to you. Any other questions? Yeah, down here.
In the front.
In the front.
By the way, I think we're periscoping. Mr. Radice is periscoping.
The entire page will be periscoped at my Twitter page, which is at Radice, F-R-A-D-I-C-E. You want to go back and see it after we're done.
My name's Max. I don't have a Twitter, but I did want to say, you know, you've been making films for about 40 years or so, and you've also inspired numerous filmmakers. For instance, when I don't get accepted to the festivals. I know that Troma Dance is always there for me, and they've always accepted the films I've submitted, so that's been a great thing. But I also say that on top of that, your film, I think, is going to be the only one that touches on, say, transphobia, bestiality, student loan debt, suspension, equal parts female and male nudity, lesbian relationships, crowdfunding, let's see, GMO, factory farms, cyberbullying, media sensationalism, corporate takeover, rape culture, and Malaysia Air. My question is, why are we here at 10 a.m. on a Monday morning and Meg Ryan is receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award?
Well, you know, Lloyd and I were talking about that. We actually suggested that we do a midnight screening of the first movie, and that we follow it up with, which we thought was going to be a later time on Saturday. Things change. These festivals have their priorities, and honestly, this is different. This is different, and these are hardcore fans right now. What we need to do is to make the hardcore fans not just be the only audience.
Originally, Olivia Wilde was going to be 10 a.m. and I was going to be
the feature film on night.
A little mistake. By the way, Troma Dance Film Festival that Matt mentioned, it's our 16th year. It was inspired by what we perceive to be very unpleasant behavior toward independent filmmakers by the Sundance Film Festival. And Trey Parker inspired me to create Troma Dance, which is all free. You can submit your movie for free. You don't have to pay to submit your movie. You can see the movies for free and no VIP policy. And it's in its 16th year. Tromadance.com. We just had the latest one. They used to take place during Sundance in the same town, same time as Sundance in Park City, Utah. And then after 10 years, we moved to Brooklyn. Now we're in Brooklyn, New York. So if you're making your own damn movies, submit them to Troma Dance. We just had this year, which was in June. But go to tromadance.com. I think we have the best. We have some clips there.
And it's really great. We got terrific audience. We got a huge audience, and it's just a lot of fun.
Great movies.
Great
That's
movies.
what a festival should be. You know, movies.
Great movies like this. You said yesterday to an interview where you were talking a little bit about the other film festivals that you guys go to. So, Cannes, one of your favorites, I guess, right? Sundance, one of your favorites.
I've been going to Cannes since 1971, and it was a festival, but now it's more of a very corporate. There's a very, very big money there. We go to Cannes to learn. It's a good cram course for what's going on in the business of international moving pictures or TV, or whatever you want to call it. But it is certainly not a film festival. It's more of a worshiping of perfume and $100,000 clothing.
But that's actually where you developed your guerrilla street marketing. It was really at Cannes that you...
we become kind of famous because we throw blood on people and take picket signs and go against...
And you have parades that
we do a lot of...
parades.
Bring a big crowd of people. If you want to see how we sell our movies at Cannes, All the Love You Can is a documentary that's on the Troma Movies channel on YouTube, and it's free, and you'll get a sense. And we're doing, thanks to our fans, we kickstarted or Indiegogo'd half of the budget for a 10-year update on All the Love You Can, which is being directed by one Charlotte Kaufman. I don't know who she is, but apparently she's very good.
Some relative of some.
She, by the way, was half of the Talking Tromaville team.
Oh, was she now? My wife was one of the producers of this film, too.
I can't remember who was in it.
So, Lloyd, the fact is you're also the distributor of these movies, and you don't just distribute your own movies as well. So
yes.
You've got a library of content out there that you are putting out there, and that's a business.
Well, from our business plan from the beginning, and there's someone named Michael Hers who you may have noticed, he's like the boss. He and I used to direct together, but then he decided to grow up and be a CEO and try to keep the company slightly upright. The original concept was make low-budget movies that come from the heart, own the negatives, because Charlie Chaplin owned his negatives, and he died very rich, even though he was blacklisted and accused of things he didn't do and driven out of the country. Buster Keaton, equally as Charlie Chaplin ended up rich, Buster Keaton did not own his negatives, and equally as brilliant as Chaplin, but died bankrupt because the suits wouldn't give him freedom and they destroyed him. So that was a big lesson. So we own the negatives, even though we get very little money, because we do our own distribution. And over the history of our 40 years, the industry has become very, very consolidated. The rules that used to protect against monopoly, protect the public against monopoly, have been done away with. And I've written 6 books. One of them is called Sell Your Own Damn Movie. And I talk quite a bit about how Troma does not sell its own damn, how we try to sell our own damn movies.
You have to be out there trying to figure out how to get your movies paid for, as well as how they get shot. Often you shoot your own movies, and I know that you went from shooting, I think, Super 16 to this being the first time you've shot.
35 millimeter.
Now is this your first?
This is the first time we produced movies like Father's Day, which are which are digital. But this is the first time I've done it, and I think that digital. Again, if you read one of my books, Make Your Own Damn Movie, Trent Hagen and I argue in the book about, we get very nasty to each other about 35 millimeter versus digital. But now I think digital has surpassed it. I think it looks better. The Ariflex Alexa is a very wonderful machine.
You also have an opportunity if you're shooting to a 4K to be able to blow up a sequence and not have to worry about any resolution problem.
Yes, you can definitely have more control over your optical effects, and it gives you more control over everything. The problem with the Alexa is it's very expensive, so we only have one camera. Whereas when I had 35 millimeter, the 35 millimeter cameras sucked, but I had 3 of them. So, you know, even though I could barely see.
Then you had to pay for the cost of the processing too.
Yes, that's right. You pay it. It's very expensive, but that's the only luxury. When we were making 35 millimeter, the only luxury we had was lots of film and lots of lab work.
Any other questions out there for Mr. Kaufman, here?
That's actually all the time we have. Let's give a huge thank you to Pat Kaufman, Lloyd Kaufman, and Frank Radice for being here and enjoying the rest of the Savannah Film Festival.
And Lloyd will be outside on festival.
Lloyd will be outside. You want to ask him a few questions
Sure.
at the end, and then you and I have to rush off to the...
But I'm here for a while if you
And
want to
please
sign.
turn in those forms.
Yes, turn them in. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Savannah Film Festival. Wonderful festival. Wonderful idealistic festival. Oh, yes, and the commissioner. Great presentation.
Yeah, this is the Troma diploma.
Oh, I was wondering.
Most sought after Troma diploma, and we are now presenting it to Frank Radice.
Thank you very much. I am honored. This is my first diploma since high school.
And there's one under there, I think.
Oh, sorry.
And that one is for...
There's one under there.
Oh, my mistake.
Who is this one
Ah.
for? Commissioner.
You know, the Savannah Film Festival also deserves and has earned a Troma diploma.
Yes.
Wow! Woo! Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
And congratulations to Savannah Film Festival in SCAD. Thank you so much.